This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Last night was a thriller on Sunday Night Football. The Steelers beat the Ravens on a Tyler Loop missed field goal, 26-24. Lamar Jackson will not be in the postseason. And on Saturday, the Seattle Seahawks won 13-3. Rough outing for Brock Purdy. Saturday, NFL playoff field is set. Rams taking on the Panthers. That game will be at 1:30. Rams are currently favored by 10.5, and the Packers and the Bears will be getting it on in the NFC. Chicago is a 1.5 point favorite in that one. For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you're not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
I'm Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long.
Not like other guys.
Where are we going in sports?
Sound off like you got a pair.
The playoff picture is set, but it looks a little off.
And Dave Canales and Dan Morgan and Mr. Tepper and Bryce Young and all those other guys in Charlotte, you are welcome. The Falcons are going to finish at 8-9.
I've heard it here from Fletch and everyone for months about Chiefs suck. Oh, no.
You smell that, Sammy?
You know what's the best is that
Smells like winning.
But the Seahawks have won this game 13-3 over the Niners.
49ers fall to Seattle. Now head to Philly, while the Rams head to Carolina and the Chargers roll into Foxborough.
We still got more football to play.
Black Monday started on Sunday in the ATL. Who's next?
The Browns have fired Kevin Stefanski.
The Raiders had consistently the worst tape out of anybody in the NFL.
And madness on the Mesa.
Heidi driving on fielder, spins again, puts it up and in, and a foul as well. A chance at a three-point play. 2:04 to play in the third overtime. We're tied at 105.
A triple OT win for the Aztecs.
Emeka Egbuka, more than 24.5 receiving yards for Tampa Bay.
Don't you think?
I try not to.
Christian McCaffrey, more than 46.5 receiving yards now. The line went up.
Are you trying to hurt my feelings?
Kenneth Gainwell, running back for Pittsburgh, more than 30.5 rush yards.
You're not curious? Just to try something new?
Lamar Jackson, more than 25.5 rush yards.
I thought that was terrible.
They were the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
I guess that Chiefs trauma isn't quite out of the system yet. We begin the conversation from the San Diego Sports 760 studios inside the Fletch Zone.
Yeah, let's get it going on a Monday, the very first Monday of 2026. What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben Fletcher. That is Sammy Long. It was an excellent weekend of NFL football. My goodness, that Aztecs game on Saturday night. We had chaos all over the place. And today, Black Monday, 4 head coaches fired today, bringing the total up to 6 on the season in the NFL. We got a busy one for you today as we get going here on San Diego Sports 760, brand new week. Sammy can't wait for this show. He's been going crazy behind the scenes. He looks like a child who thinks he's about to get a PS5 for Christmas underneath the tree. And we'll get to the 49ers in just a little bit. I promise you that. But we are going to start with that Sunday night football game from last night because, my God, everyone was wrong, including me. Thank you, universe, for setting us straight, for saying that Niners Seahawks should have been the Sunday night football game this week. That was fantastic. The Steelers and the Ravens came at it furiously. Both head coaches seemed like they were coaching for their job, even though we had the report from Rappaport before the game that neither of them were coaching for their job. But that was a chaotic, insane Sunday night football game. And I would like to start the week, and I have no qualms about this, saying this. The fact that 175-pound unathletic soccer players get to decide the fate of an NFL season is beyond me. Can we please move past kickers in the NFL? Because goodness gracious, it pisses me off that these two teams get to fight. The Steelers and the Ravens fight for multiple hours and go back and forth. And Lamar Jackson has legacy-defining plays where he's finding receivers over the middle of the field. He gets them into field goal range just to miss the game-winning field goal. It pisses me off that Aaron Rodgers fights like hell, puts together one of the best games he's played all year to put the Steelers in a position to take a 3-point lead, and the kicker misses the extra point. The fact that obviously kickers aren't leaving football, but the fact that these guys get to decide the fate of what grown-ass men and athletes and football players are putting into an NFL season, it really ticks me off every single year. And this is how it comes down to every single year. And congratulations to the Steelers, I guess, but the Ravens and Lamar Jackson specifically did enough to win that football game last night. Hi, Sammy. How are you?
I'm feeling fantastic. I've been ecstatic waiting for this show. But in terms of the Steelers-Ravens, I think that's the best part of football. I think you're looking at that completely wrong. I think the best part of football is that you don't think of the special teams. You don't think of the fact that you assume your kicker is going to make it. And look, one team's out of the playoffs because their kicker didn't make it. Tyler Loop. Chris Boswell, they gave him the opportunity. They should have been tying the game. Chris Boswell missing the extra point. I love that in football, how the little nuances come down to who advances in the playoffs. And when you look at teams that win Super Bowls, they usually have excellent special teams. No one wants to talk about it, but that's usually the case. Yes, I am bummed for Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson played his ass off in that game.
Dude, he had some moments that people have been waiting for forever. Like, when is Lamar Jackson going to step up on a fourth down in a big situation and make the throw? And he did it last night. And the fact that Tyler Loop is the one who gets to ruin that for him is stupid.
If I'm a Ravens fan, I'm devastated. And in no way last night an indictment on Lamar Jackson. He was fantastic from the Isaiah Likely grab at the end of the game. You had the Zay Flowers bomb where he evaded the sack and slipped out. I mean, Lamar Jackson was great in the fact that he put up 24 points on the road, coming off wearing a rib protector, coming off an injury on the road against his number one rival in a game that you knew was going to be a defensive slugfest. I thought it was a fantastic game. It's a crazy ending. The storyline of Aaron Rodgers moving on and now in the playoff field in an AFC that you look around and literally every single team has massive flaws with it. So it's kind of hard to pick it. I think the favorite right now would be Buffalo just because they have the best quarterback in the AFC, but it's tough. Like, are we sitting here in a couple weeks talking about an Aaron Rodgers Cinderella run? Who knows? But
it could be in the AFC, man. It feels like the one seed in the AFC has shown some real vulnerabilities over the last couple of weeks. The Broncos don't look great. They didn't look great against the Chargers C team that they put out there. So I'm curious to see how the Broncos look in the postseason. They get the bye, but it does feel like it's the Bills' thing to lose, and good for them.
Well, certainly no one has more pressure on him now because now we've established that Mahomes and Burrow aren't going to be there. Right. Now with Lamar not there, if anyone other than Josh Allen goes to the Super Bowl, we're looking at Josh Allen.
For sure. All right, let's rip through the NFL postseason bracket real quick before Sammy gets to go absolutely crazy on my 49ers, although I'm not really 100% sure why.
Everyone who's watching knows why, but we'll get to that in a second.
One seed in the AFC, the Denver Broncos, 4-5 matchup, Steelers-Texans. That one's going to be on January 12th, which is Monday at 5:15. Jags-Bills is the 3-6 matchup on, is that Friday? Sunday, January 11th. At 10 a.m., Patriots-Chargers, the 2-7 matchup, also on Sunday at 5 o'clock. Going to be a really good game, man. The Patriots need to get past them. But the Chargers, I think that's going to be a really, really good football game. Yes, the Seahawks are the 1 seed in the NFC. 4-5 matchup, Panthers-Rams. Now, remember, what was it, 4 weeks ago? The Panthers just beat the Rams. It's hard to beat the same team twice out of division. We'll see how that one goes. 3-6 matchup is Eagles-49ers in Philly. Going to be brutal. 2-7 matchup is Packers at the Bears. That one, is that Friday night? I believe that's the Friday night game.
No. There's 2 Saturday games, 3 Sunday games, and 1 Monday game.
You're right. January 10th is the Saturday. I got my dates all messed up here. But good NFL playoff matchups all over the place. I circle the Rams-Panthers game, the Chargers-Patriots games as 2 of my favorite matchups. But Sammy, let's hear it. What is your gripe with the San Francisco 49ers, and why should I just be quivering in my boots over here?
Well, I think, first off, I want to thank JD Wicker because I really want to get to the Aztecs because I want some runway for the Niners because we need to give the Aztecs their love. I want to thank, if JD Wicker, if you're listening, if you want to call in, if you're any of the Aztecs players who put on an amazing performance, obviously blow it at Boise, and you're thinking this is going to be a catastrophic loss. BJ Davis comes through with the 3. They go to the 3 overtimes and they win. I'm just happy that you didn't have to watch that game on Saturday night because it must be tough as a Niner fan when there's 3 quarterbacks sitting there. There's Sam Darnold, a guy who was in your building, who just went and beat you for the 1 seed. You have Mac Jones, who honestly has played better than Brock Purdy at times this year. And the hero, the savior, the guy I was told by Ben Fletcher, which was going to lead the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl at home, one of the biggest games of his career, goes 19 for 27 with 127 yards and an interception. They could not move the ball whatsoever. Fletch had the audacity to tell me before the show that it was the defense's fault when they held Seattle to 13 points. Oh, and Seattle missed 2 field goals and went for it on a 4th and goal from the 4-yard line at the beginning of the game. The game shouldn't have even been close. I think everyone got way too high on the Niners after beating up on a bad Bears defense that relies on takeaways. It's nice that it's all coming to fruition, and then we get the present on Sunday against Philly. So please
Ooh, I'm glad this is where you went with yours.
Explain to me why it's not Brock Purdy's fault.
And it was Brock Purdy's fault. He played terrible.
Good. I'm glad to hear you say that.
But I don't think he's going to be the reason they don't get to the Super Bowl. All right, here. We'll get my response on the other side of the big three. I'm glad that that's where you're deciding to go with this, Sammy. And the defense played like dog poop. But
you're putting more blame on the defense for scoring 3 points at home.
Yeah, because there wasn't a fourth quarter, Sammy. The entire fourth quarter was held up by the Seahawks with the football.
You cannot sit here and make excuses for the Niners offense putting up 3 points at home with the one seed on the line.
3 points at home is pitiful, inexcusable, awful. You're not going to see me defending that. It was awful. Christian McCaffrey, one of the more sure-handed receivers that the Niners
he gives up the interception. Yeah,
gives up the interception. Awful. But we can be honest, like the defense playing that way, giving Seattle the entire time of possession in the second half, made there no opportunity.
But this just goes back to when you don't have Trent Williams, he can't play.
Sure, because he didn't have Trent Williams against
the Bears, who is not a good defense, who is completely turnover reliant.
There's no way I can possibly defend what the 49ers did on Saturday night. It was pitiful. It was awful. But I don't think that, like you're saying, Brock Purdy is the reason they're not going to do anything in the postseason.
Yes.
I think that's kind of crazy.
Well, how do you watch that game?
Sam Darnold would be better. You want to talk about
Sam Darnold would be 1,000 times better.
How many missed opportunities Sam Darnold had in the Niners season?
I'm sorry. It's not on his coach that, first off, that Jason Myers missed 2 field goals and they went for it from the 4th and goal from the 4-yard line. That was Mike McDonald's fault.
By 25 to 30 points.
You cannot sit here and defend because earlier this season you came on this show and said, I want Mac Jones to be the quarterback. Then all of a sudden, Brock Purdy lulls you to sleep.
Whoa, I said if Purdy looks terrible, I want Mac Jones to be the quarterback.
You said there's time for a change.
I never once said that. I said Purdy has his chance to come back and be the quarterback of the Niners, and he's looked great outside of that Seattle game.
You're telling me that it doesn't give you like the heebie-jeebies.
No, not
that
at all.
The man who just came in there, Sam Darnold, the man who couldn't win a big game, comes in and wins it in your home stadium with a shot to keep the Super Bowl go through Santa Clara.
Not even one iota. I am not worried about Brock Purdy in the slightest. I'm excited to see what he does in Philadelphia coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, we're ready against one of the best defensive football.
Let's see what happens. You mean he has his wide receiver one back and his offensive lineman, a Pro Bowler.
But this is what everyone's been saying. When it comes to Brock Purdy, he needs everyone around him.
He nixed that though. He had 2 40+ point performances without all his guys.
Against the Bears defense is statistically bad when they do not get turnovers. I can't believe you're sitting here defending Brock Purdy today.
He's my quarterback. I'm going to defend him. I think he's fine. He's not the biggest problem with this team right now. The biggest problem is that some of your highest paid defensive players aren't on the field right now, and that's going to be a problem in the postseason.
Exactly,
too.
but that can't. When you're talking about the Super Bowl the last 3 weeks, and you're talking about how they're a favorite,
I still think they're going to win the Super Bowl. Trey on YouTube says, please cook Fletch, Sammy. You earned this rant, brother. Yeah, yes, that's fine. It's really easy when one team is already in Cancun celebrating to go.
This ain't about the Chiefs. This is about the fact that the Niners had the golden ticket and they blew it.
Let's get to the big 3 here, which is really going to be like a big 1.5. Sammy, go ahead, smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big 3.
Jamar says on YouTube, those Niners jerseys were fire. I actually couldn't stand them. I didn't think they looked good at all. Those black on red jerseys or whatever they were. Jamar also saying, looks good, plays decent. Yeah, they played bad. I'm fine with that if that's where Saban wants to go. I don't think this all goes on the quarterback.
When you sit here and talk about, every Niner fan talks about how Brock Purdy, people disrespect Brock Purdy and that it's because he was Mr. Irrelevant and he got paid to be the guy that elevates the team. Gone are the days of him on the rookie contract making no money.
I get that, Sammy, but like between the two of us, we can just be honest here. Who's watched more 49ers football over the last couple of years?
So
I'm telling you, I've lived through a lot of eras of 49ers quarterbacks. He is the one I felt the most comfortable with my entire life. More than Alex Smith, more than Colin Kaepernick, more than Trent Dilfer for a couple of years, more than
Trent
Sean
Dilfer was garbage.
Whatever his name was for a little bit. Like I promise you, Brock Purdy is the one who's made me feel the most comfortable.
You can't play it both ways. We can't hear from Niner fans.
I don't know what you're saying.
No, because Niner fans, this is what Niner fans always said. He's Mr. Irrelevant. He's making no money. Look at him outperforming his contract with it, which is true. It was completely true when he wasn't paid. But you can't have it both ways. Then when his star left tackle's out and his star receiver's out, then all of a sudden it's like he is paid the amount of money he is paid as a top quarterback in football. That's what his contract is saying to elevate the team. In scoring 3 points at home with a shot to have the 1 seed and have it run through Santa Clara. One of the best opportunities you may have ever had to win a Super Bowl. Especially, you talk about the Chiefs. Mahomes ain't even there.
Can I give you just a number real quick? 37 minutes and 48 seconds. That was the time of possession for the Seattle Seahawks.
That's not an excuse for scoring 3 points.
17 ripped off a 19-yard run. Like, it's kind of tough to mount the comeback when you don't have the ball in your hands. And, oh, by the way, when you do lead a drive that's about to score a touchdown and your running back drops it and gives it to the other team, it's kind of hard for me to blame Purdy watching that game. That's why I said, I'm glad that's where you're going. I don't think Purdy was at fault in that game. He didn't play
for
great.
Going 19 for 27 for 127 yards.
Sure, yeah,
like that's what you pay. How much does he make a year? $55 million for? I'm just asking.
I get what you're saying, Sammy. I really do. And he didn't play a great game. He didn't.
No, he played a terrible game.
He's not terrible.
No, I didn't say he's terrible. I said he played a terrible game.
All right, what's your first story of the big three?
Pete Carroll fired today.
Dude,
after
lots of coaches fired.
Yeah, Raheem Morris fired. The Pete Carroll's fired. What job is more attractive, the Raiders or the Falcons?
Falcons have a little bit more in place right now. That's probably the safer job for next year. I think the Falcons have also shown over the last couple of decades that they are a little bit more of a stable organization. The Las Vegas Raiders, whoever takes that job is taking a pretty big risk because, yeah, you could look at Ashton Janty. You can look at having the number 1 overall pick. You could, with this potentially Mendoza coming in, Max Crosby, Brock Bowers. You could look at the Raiders and say, oh, this roster in 5 years, we could really make something out of this. However, the Raiders ownership and the Raiders general managing has been bad over the last couple of decades. Whereas the Falcons, look, they've been in a Super Bowl recently. Yeah, we don't need to talk about what happened in that Super Bowl, but at least that's an organization that has shown a propensity towards winning. And I'm curious to see who ends up taking these jobs. And if it's, say, somebody who has an opportunity at maybe both of them, which way they lean and which way they go, which one's a little more highly sought after. But I am going to take the Falcons as the better job for the next 10 years.
The Falcons have the ability that they play in a crap division.
Right.
And you look at the Panthers in that game. The Panthers fortunate to get in the postseason. They looked really bad in that game, honestly. I know. I guess I don't want to kill the Panthers. They actually had some bad calls go against them, like that Tet OPI. But you don't look at the Panthers as a juggernaut going forward. Bryce Young. We'll see what the Saints have. Tyler Shuck's been all right, but do we really believe he's the franchise guy? And the Bucs are an aging group. So in terms of the division, I think the Falcons have an edge. But if you look at the Raiders, take aside the fact that you got to deal with Mahomes, you got to deal with Herbert, and then the Broncos, whatever you feel about Bo Nix, that's a damn good football team with 3 other elite coaches in that. Brock Bowers, Ashton Janty. You take away the legacy of the Raiders that they've kind of always screwed it up back to the Jamarcus Russell days. If you're able to, you have the number 1 overall pick. It's all likelihood going to be Fernando Mendoza. Maybe Dante Moore makes a push. I would go Mendoza. I think just his size, Dante Moore is not big enough to be a top-tier quarterback in this game. But you look at the Raiders, Vegas, Crosby, like there's some building blocks there, and the Raiders have been crap for a while now. But if they're able to get this right, it's pretty hard to screw up the number 1 overall pick.
People do every year, it feels like, or every other year at the very least. Quarterbacks, you're hitting at about a 40% clip.
I would go with the Raiders because I think there's actually a lot of talent there. Now, my problem, though, with the Raiders is this. Pete Carroll, why did you bring Pete in?
Confusing. You knew you weren't going to be winning this year.
Right. Like, so you could lie to everyone and go, we thought we were going to win with Geno Smith at quarterback. Really? In a division with Mahomes, Herbert, and Bo Nix, you thought that you were going to win the division? Like, stop lying to everybody. I don't know why you would bring a coach in like Pete, who was supposed to, quote, stabilize everything, to then blow him out after 1 year to get who? Are you looking at Brian Daboll? Is there? It doesn't sound like John Harbaugh's getting fired. Is there something there? Like, who are you going to go get that's that much better? And I get that Pete Carroll hasn't been great, but I just feel like that was kind of a lame duck hire for a guy who has won a Super Bowl, was extremely successful in college.
Yeah, and they fired Chip Kelly, week 7, week 8 of the season?
That one I get.
That made a ton of sense. He was the highest paid offensive coordinator on the worst performing offense in the league. But then you go at the end of this year after making a commitment to Pete Carroll, and then remember this offseason they were talking about, oh, Pete's already changing the culture. You could see it. You could see him out there practicing with them. And I'm fine if you want to fire Pete Carroll. This just didn't seem to do. It was like, okay, most people, unless your name is Ben Fletcher and want to have a dark horse pick for a radio show to make the postseason, most people thought that the Raiders were going to be dog crap this year. And it kind of did you some favors towards the end of the season, losing all the games. It was a battle for the number 1 overall pick.
And I mean, if you look at the Raiders, look at what do you value in a team? A quarterback, a receiver, and a pass rusher. That's the 3 things they look at. Well, you got Bowers and Crosby.
Yeah.
not that the team has a lot of pulls. I'm not acting like the Raiders are going to be like some big time team next year. But if you get Mendoza right, maybe you want to go with a more offensive minded coach.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, you want a younger offensive head coach to kind of pair, like much like Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, to pair with for the next.
It's
5
just
or 6
who
years.
is that going to? Are you telling me Brian Dable is the offensive genius that's going to come in? It didn't work with Jackson Dart in New York.
All right, we are way over time, so we got to take a break here. We're going to tell you what we're giving away on the other side. We're also probably going to continue talking about this Niners Seahawks game that is doomed the world.
Texts are rolling in right now.
70470. Start your message with team. Quick break here. We'll react on the other side at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. How about this? Starting next Monday, San Diego Sports 760, we got 16 chances for you to win $1,000 every single weekday with the Bonus Bucks contest. Listen at the top of every hour from 6 to 6, starting on next Monday. Listen for the keyword, enter it at sportssd.com. It starts next Monday at 6 a.m. $1,000. That'd be a nice way to start the year. Let's see. FedEx Trey on YouTube saying, this is the AM radio I grew up on. Great stuff those last couple minutes. Someone else said this was our best show ever. So thank you.
SoCal Jayhawk from the 619 says, you guys are off to what appears to be the best show so far of 2026. Let's get to the text line real quick. I got this one coming for sure. 619 says, bang, bang, loser gang. Also saying, Fletch, can you please burn your 49er Super Bowl ticket on air, please? No, light it up in flames, baby.
I may double down if I'm being honest, because the odds are getting better as we speak. But I am rich if the Niners win the Super Bowl. 858 says crazy odds on Bears. They're -3.5 this weekend. What's Vegas liking? Why is Vegas liking Green Bay? Are the Bears dogged?
They were actually dogged. It was 1.5 in favor of Green Bay. It's people are betting Chicago, so now they're favored by 1.5 at home. But yeah, Vegas, they opened the line that Green Bay is the favorite on the road.
Interesting. 858, an amazing year of football in the bag, and Fletch wants to cry about kickers. Yeah, look, I get it. The amazing football happened, and we all got to watch it. But the fact that game last night got decided by kickers, I do hate the fact.
I just think that's special. Like, that's why the NFL is great.
And special teams, I would also be bummed if special teams was no longer a part of the game. But I watched the way Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers fight in that game. I watched the plays they made when their teams needed them the most. You think about the touchdown to Zay Flowers, the touchdown Rodgers threw to Austin there to take the lead. And I'm like, all that is what we watch football for. And then the kicker comes out and misses an extra point, and a kicker comes out and misses a field goal that would have sent Lamar Jackson. Like, that is legacy defining stuff for Lamar Jackson. And Tyler Loop is the reason it's not going to happen. 858, the Chiefs have to take off their Super Bowl rings before they go into the water in Cancun.
619 says 175-pound soccer players. You just described Brock Purdy. 858 says Fletch is still moody about Jake Moody.
Did you see Jake Moody miss a kick yesterday for the Commanders?
Yeah.
He's bounced around a little bit, but he's still doing his thing.
619, SoCal Jayhawk with an excellent text, I think. Fletch, whether you're right or wrong about Purdy, you'd be absolutely destroying Mahomes if he had scored 3 points in a football game.
You're probably right about that, SoCal Jayhawk, but good thing we don't have to know because Mahomes isn't playing right now.
So you can keep making that joke, but like, again, we all know Mahomes is that bad man, and just because he's not in this season, it's consistency. If we're gonna say that Brock Purdy is a top level quarterback in this league, which yours truly, not me, Ben Fletcher has said, Jim Russell has said, Jason McIntyre, everyone you've heard on the station for the last year has said, then he needs to be held accountable to what a top-tier quarterback would do in those biggest moments. And frankly, he didn't perform.
Sure. That's fine. He didn't play well. I'm not trying to say he did, but I also would think this is a full team loss. And by the way, he had like one less completion than Sam Darnold. So you throwing the numbers out there, I don't really.
But again, 2 missed field goals, got him in position. I didn't agree with Mike McDonald going for it.
The Seahawks should have won that game by 25. I'll be the first to say that. 949 says, Fletch, those Niners need to pull up their pants, take off the bra, and be a man. Remember Kevin Harlan in the Super Bowl talking about the streaker? Great callback, 949. All right, it is San Diego Sports 760. We're going to get to the Aztecs basketball game from Saturday night, which was pure chaos, coming up in just a little bit. But also some of these first-round matchups in the NFL. Not talking about the weekend that was, but what the weekend that's going to be. Man, that Bears-Packers matchup, like divisional matchups in the postseason become so much more fun than just divisional matchups in the regular season. And so Green Bay and Chicago obviously have this huge history together, but not really with these currently constituted teams. Like, this is Caleb Williams versus Jordan Love. When what I love about that is the fact that both of them are dealing with some stuff this year. Caleb Williams starts off the year and it wasn't looking great with Ben Johnson. It was like once he was on script, he was fine. As soon as he got off the script, it became really bad to watch. And then Caleb Williams figured something out. It clicked, man. He started being in these big shootout games and he was performing as good or better as the quarterback across the way. And Jordan Love, name a more injured team in the NFL right now than the Green Bay Packers. He's been going through it, man. His number one target, Tucker Kraft, leaves. Micah Parsons, the big free agent acquisition, leaves due to injury. Like, it's been rough for the Packers over the last stretch, but Vegas will tell you apparently Packers should be favored in this game, and I think that's kind of crazy. This is a 7-2 matchup, but this feels like about as even as it gets as we head in.
Well, I think it's that they've been there before. Like, Green Bay has, Jordan Love's played in these games before. Caleb, and everyone knows I'm a big Caleb Williams fan, but you look at the Bears, they've never done it before. So it's you kind of throw the records out in a divisional matchup. I get Micah Parsons isn't there, but this team and the Packers kind of feel like they went from being a little bit overrated when they had Parsons to now kind of no one's talking about him and like at all. And everyone's kind of thinking they're just the first victim there in the NFC. And like, you look at a potential path, it's a big opportunity. Again, we keep going back to this with it. We talk about it more on the AFC side without Mahomes and Burrow and Lamar, but all these quarterbacks, your Caleb Williams, your Jordan Loves, like, these are big opportunities for resume builders. When you sit there and talk about, there's a big path in kind of both. Now the NFC seems to be a little bit more of a gauntlet, but someone's really going to make their name this year. And you have two of the best young quarterbacks in the game, in like Love and Caleb, in the same division. You think that they're going to be going at it for years, especially like who knows how much longer Goff's going to be in Detroit. JJ McCarthy does not look like the answer for Minnesota. So this could be like one of many long rivalries between him and Jordan Love. It's a lot on the line for him.
I hope so, man. The NFC North has been fun my entire life, and this looks like the future of the NFC North, and I can't wait to see how this one goes. We'll get into the rest of the matchups as the show goes on, but Aztecs on Saturday night escape one of the more wild basketball games I've ever been at. We'll talk about it on the other side at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. San Diego State won a barn burner on Saturday night, 110-107 against Boise State in a third overtime wild game. Aztecs were up 20 plus in the game. Boise State came back, but the Aztecs were able to pull through in the end. San Diego State will be back tomorrow night against Nevada in Nevada. That game will be at 8:00 and right here, of course, on San Diego Sports 760. And Raheem Morris, head coach for the Atlanta Falcons, as well as head coach Pete Carroll, have both been let go as of this morning. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 today. And we've been having fun, of course, today. Sammy's been making fun of my Niners. Well-deserved. We've earned it. Sammy, you've absolutely been right about everything you've said about the 49ers today, although I still got faith in the quarterback. Now, can I admit something kind of sad here?
What? Let's hear it.
So
let's bum everyone out on a Monday when everyone's back at work after the holidays are
more
over.
Like everyone's just going to be laughing at me. It's sad for me, not for everybody else. Saturday night, I had the fortune of being at the Aztecs basketball game, which was chaos. They were up 21 at the half, lose the lead in the second half. BJ Davis's heroics in double overtime, and LZ Harrington played his ass off in overtime. So I was at that game. Well, during that game, the 49ers were playing against the Seahawks. So I really didn't get to watch a ton of the Niners Seahawks game live. I had to go back and watch it on replay. Yes, it stung as much then as it did during the game. I'm getting texts from guys like Sammy and our sales manager, Brian Wilson, making fun of me. And that was all great and dandy. Now, if you remember a couple months ago, Sammy, I brought up the fact that the first weekend of the NFL postseason, my wife wanted me to go to our nephew's play, which is Shrek the Musical, which is coming up this upcoming Sunday. And it happens to be at 2:00. Sammy, remind me, what time do the Niners and Eagles play this upcoming Sunday?
They play at 1:30.
They do play at 1:30. That's right.
Is he like Shrek or is he like a tree or something?
I don't actually know the answer to that.
So you're going to show up and miss the game to watch him sit there with a tree trunk on and not have any lines.
Sometimes you have to do things when you're married. I have alerted my wife.
I'm so happy I'm not married. Like I that would just be the worst thing. If I was told, first off, I'm not missing a Chiefs game, and damn sure not missing a playoff game. Like that's just simply not happening.
I've already told her that the game will be on my phone, and there will be AirPods in, and there may be a couple of F-bombs dropped in the middle of Shrek the Musical.
First off, why would as a school play. Why would they have that on a Sunday?
It's actually not a school play, I guess. Like, he's getting paid for this. This is like a production.
So if he's a paid actor, he doesn't need people to come.
That's what I said, Sammy.
This isn't a volunteer effort of everyone's putting it on. This is if you're getting paid, you're going to get critiqued on your performance.
It's chaos. It really, I can't believe this is happening to me. Also, when I made this decision, when I texted Kendall the first time and said, you know what, let's do it. I was like, no way the Niners get scheduled for that exact window of time. And of course, because the universe hates me, that's exactly what happened.
Aren't you gone? Because I'm covering for the Aztecs next weekend. Aren't you gone next weekend?
That is Kendall's birthday party. So I'll be here, and her birthday party is going to be at a place where there will be TVs. So no matter what, I'll be able to watch.
I mean, I don't think you're going to have that problem, but just in case.
Thank you, Sammy. All right, let's get to some of these texts about the Aztecs game on Saturday night. 760. I never style point a win, so I'll just tip my hat to Boise for an amazingly gritty effort when they had every reason to quit. Hats off to the Aztecs for not packing it in after what looked like a devastating loss. Free throws missed by your best shooters made for a much tougher game than it should have been, but then we wouldn't have had the incredible ending we experienced. LZ Harrington is as poised a freshman that has ever come to the program. Look, let's talk about this Aztecs basketball game. So the first half, I honestly thought that Leon Rice, the head coach of the Boise State Broncos, kind of ruined them in the first half, if I'm being completely honest, because he made the first half about everything other than basketball. He made it about the court conditions, which it was a humid night in Viejas Arena, and it was a slippery court. He made it about his ongoing feud with the referees and Michael Irvin. He made it about everything but basketball. And I said it at halftime. I said, get ready, because there's going to be a punch coming from Boise State in the second half, because Leon Rice is a fantastic head coach, and he's going to get things turned around here. So San Diego State took advantage of a very discombobulated, disjointed Boise State Broncos basketball team in the first half and jumped out to a 21-point lead. They did not accept the punch for Boise State in the second half very well. San Diego State opened up the door, let them back in that basketball game, and then overtime happened. Well, in regulation, actually, BJ Davis had a chance to make a free throw that would have made the Aztecs have a 3-point lead, maybe even a 4-point lead at the time. I can't remember in regulation. But then overtime happens, and LZ Harrington kind of takes over. Did you see this as well, Sammy? He makes a contested shot in the lane, and then on the inbounds pass, gets a steal on the other side, makes another bucket, gives them a lead. Boise State fights back once again, because it was, like our texter said, an amazingly gritty performance from Boise State. And then it was all lost. Game was over. 3-point lead. All Boise State has to do is inbound the basketball, and the game is over in the second overtime period. And what happens? The guy who missed the free throw in regulation steals a full court inbounds pass, comes down, ISOs up his defender, and knocks down a 3-pointer that legitimately may have saved the season for San Diego State. Legitimately, BJ Davis may have saved the season with that.
Well, right. That would have been a catastrophic, just lost morally.
Like, yeah, you lose, or you have a 21-point lead and you lose the game. And San Diego State fell behind Boise State in the metrics after that game, even though they won the game.
Right. Because, I mean, watching that game, there's already questions about whether you can win an at-large bid. There's already that's a real conversation. Maybe they can if they go unbelievable Mountain West Conference play. I don't really have all the answers. It's such a tricky system with college basketball. But if you lose that game after being up at home, it's a tough sell to the team when you're already kind of you haven't performed the best against the biggest competition. But it was a huge performance. BJ Davis with 22, LZ Harrington with 20. Reese Dixon Waters chipped in with 16. Then Bird had
a couple of big threes late.
Yeah, and Bird had 13. But I think we're starting to see is and this isn't a shot to Miles Bird or Reese Dixon Waters, because you need those guys going forward if you're really going to make a push here, and especially if you get Mountain West Conference play, you get into the tournament, they need to be big time players. But BJ Davis and LZ Harrington, there's a case if you take the names away that they should be starting. It's crazy. Like, if you
LZ's been starting since week 2.
Right. LZ's been starting, but I'm saying BJ Davis, if you looked up until this point, who's been the best player on the Aztecs team, I don't even think it's a question that it's BJ Davis. I mean, not even close. And it's good to say, and I'm not inferring that they should bench, Miles Bird or Reese Dixon Waters and these guys, but it's cool that you saw Dutch go with the hot hand. He didn't just go back to the stars at the end of the game. He went to BJ Davis and the guys he knew were going to get it done. You kind of saw a catalyst for their comeback. So overall, Boise State out-rebounded the Aztecs 45-38. I thought Heidi made a few big plays there at the end of the game, and Odin as well. But during that run, it was really that they were getting a lot of second chance opportunities. And then it was just kind of a crapshoot. It looked like the Aztecs were dead in the water, to your point. They get the steal, hit that unbelievable 3. But huge win for the Aztecs, because more likely was avoiding a catastrophic loss.
Yeah.
But you want to give them credit because to lose that lead, they have all the momentum, take a lead in overtime, and then still fight back does show that this Aztec team has some grit to it. And hopefully they can take that into Nevada tomorrow night.
It was a weird night at Viejas Arena. I'll tell you, it was, if anyone was there, I know our buddy Rich was there. It was a humid night inside Viejas Arena. It was a humid day in San Diego, but it was just kind of odd environment the entire time. It was a little warmer than normal. The floor was way, way slippery. Like the Aztecs crew was doing as much as they could to try to get the moisture off the floor, but guys were slipping and sliding all night. And for San Diego State to come out on top of that one, it was funny after the game. Whoever the CBS sideline guy was in that game, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name. He interviewed Brian Dutcher right after the game. And he said, man, I have never seen a college basketball game like that. What's it like to come out on top of one like that? And Dutch said, it's kind of how it is every time we play against Boise State because it's just the mentality. Leon Rice is an excellent head coach in his 16th season. Brian Dutcher has been on the Mesa for 25 something years. It's every single time these two teams play against each other, something wacky happens.
Well, in Boise State, we see it in the NFL all the time. When you see like rivals and guys that play each other multiple times a year, every year.
Yeah.
Boise State, we said it on Friday. They weren't scared to come into Viejas Arena, where a lot of teams are like a little bit intimidated. Like, wow, this is a raucous environment. It's at home. We know Dutcher's record at home with the Aztecs is one of the best in basketball. It's like they just kind of slowly chipped away. But it shows a lot about the Aztecs when it felt like for a moment there, all was lost. And that was a real tipping point for the season. You feel like if they lose that game, we're having a totally different conversation today about where this team's going in the future. But to pull that one out, to be gritty, they got a lot of talent on the team. It's just really about putting it together for a full game against some better competition, but they're off to a good start in Mountain West Conference play. So I guess that's all you can ask for.
Nevada at Nevada coming up tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 8:00 tip off. It's going to be a tough one, man. Nevada's 3-0 in conference play. All right. Our buddy Rich saying Leon Rice was crying the entire game and the refs bought into it in the second half. Also saying, dude, how about the guy tying his shoe right next to BJ Davis at the free throw line and ices him? Yeah. They gave a warning for a delay of game in a college basketball game, which I thought was just an automatic tee. Like you cannot do that. You can't interrupt the free throw shooter after he already has the ball. It was bizarre. And then our buddy Johnny says Davis came so clutch on that steal and shot. Hell of a ball game. It really was. That was a March Madness vibe. It was a March Madness style shot. And man, can't wait for San Diego State and Boise State to play again because this rivalry just keeps getting better. All right, quick break here. On the other side, long shots. Sammy's going to make us all some money. How about that? And we will get you a giveaway for today as well. That's next. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. We all remember that one teacher who made a difference, who believed in us, who challenged us, or who just made learning fun. Now was your chance to say thank you in a big way with iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher, powered by donors. Choose, nominate an outstanding public school teacher who's gone above and beyond for their students to win $5,000 to stock their classroom with whatever they need. Help us say thank you to the educators shaping our future. Nominate your favorite teacher now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers. My wife's a teacher, and actually last night around 9:00, because this is their first day back at school, she said, we need to go to the Dollar Tree right now because I need to get ring pops so my students can ring in the new year. But that's the type of dedication these teachers have. So help them out. Nominate a teacher today at iHeartRadio.com/teachers. All right, we've had 4 firings in the NFL today. It's Black Monday across the NFL. Pete Carroll fired. Jonathan Gannon fired. Raheem Morris fired. And who's the one I'm missing, Sammy?
I was putting together my lineup. You said Raheem Morris, Pete Carroll, and
Jonathan Gannon.
That's it.
Those are the only 3 fired today. So then Brian Callahan and Brian Dable have also been fired this year. We'll see if there's any more. We will see. Oh, Stefanski was the one I was missing right there. So there has been 4 today. All right, Sammy, over the weekend, we did a prize picks lineup. We actually did it together this time, and mine was wrong. So I can't even give you any smack about this prize picks lineup. But I said McCaffrey was going to go over on his receiving yards. He didn't even get close. He had 34 of them.
I know it's disappointing because Gainwell came through. I believe Lamar Jackson came through. But he didn't?
No, he had 9 rushing yards.
I stopped checking it after our first pick did not hit.
Igbuka didn't come through either. He had 8 receiving yards.
What happened to Emeka Igbuka hitting a rookie wall? Like, what happened to that?
Disappeared, and he got hurt in week 8 or week 9 after having a red hot start to the season, then didn't do anything the second half of the year. Sir Will on YouTube saying Seattle Seahawks are my Super Bowl favorite. Defense wins championships and home field advantage in Seattle. Seattle's good, man. That defense is young. It's going to be good for the next few years. They showed a lot on Saturday night against the Niners. You feel like Seattle's biggest test, and you see this a lot in March Madness. They always say that the toughest weekend is the first for the number 1 seeds, because it's like you have all that expectation on you. It feels like if Seattle gets a playoff victory and Sam Darnold's able to silence whoever that is, if it's the Rams, if it's either the Rams or the Panthers in their first matchup.
Assuming all the higher seeds win, the Bears and the Eagles, but whoever it's going to be, if it's going to be the Panthers, Rams, Niners, or Packers, if he gets that first one, I feel like Sam Darnold and the Seahawks can go on a tear, because the question's still there. Like, he beat the Niners on Saturday night and he beat the Rams, so he's had some big wins. He's kind of quieted the noise this year. But if Sam Darnold goes to the playoffs and loses, which I don't think he's going to, I'm a big Sam Darnold believer. But if he does lose in the first round, especially with having the home field advantage, people are going to go, it's the same old Sam Darnold storyline. So I really feel like the toughest game for Seattle is going to be that first one. Could very well be coming against a divisional rival.
Oh, the Niners, huh?
Well, it's a possibility. I'm not picking it, but it's a possibility.
Back to back. I'd love that.
Back to back? What do you mean back to back?
Like, we play the Seahawks back to back games. The Seahawks play back to back the Niners. Niners obviously have to beat the Eagles first.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if what you saw Saturday night means you want to play Seattle.
I would love to. Get right back at it. That's the best way to do it. NBA mentality, Sammy. All right. Let's get to long shots for today. Can you make us all some money?
I got us.
Sounds good. Let's smash it.
You looking for some luck? Want to win big? Gotta play big.
You are so money, you don't even know it.
Time to take a chance.
Pay that man his money.
With long shots.
All right, Sammy, where are we going today?
All right, we got no Monday Night Football, which is
tennis.
Kind of sad. I wish we had some tennis on. By the way, Perry Boss Open out here in a month or two out in Palm Springs. Definitely will be attending. We got the Australian Open coming up. So all my tennis fans, trust me, we're going to be coming back with some fire parlays quickly. But tonight is all NBA. Detroit, New York Knicks, really fun matchup. If you're looking for a fun regular season NBA matchup that you're just kind of a casual fan, this one's going to be fun because these two got after each other in the playoffs last year. The Knicks beat them in 6 games. If you remember right, there was a couple controversial calls at the end of that game. Malik Beasley, they had a 3 taken away late in that game. And the Detroit Pistons, everyone kind of thought, might be in for a little bit of a step back, not having Malik Beasley because of the gambling probe. He was kind of the 3-point shooter. But this team has just gotten better. And we talk about Oklahoma City building the right way, kind of from the ground up. And obviously, Oklahoma City deserves their flowers. They won a championship, and Shea's an MVP. The Detroit Pistons have kind of done a similar thing you're kind of seeing in the Eastern Conference. They've taken a lot of people's kind of scraps, your Isaiah Stewart's, your Jalen Duren's, your guys that teams didn't really want, and has now acquired them and has now built this really young collection of great players. Cade Cunningham, Ron Holland, that whole group. Tonight, Cade Cunningham, more than 27.5 points. I think he's got something for the Knicks. I think they've been waiting on this game. These are looking like the two teams in the Eastern Conference, if you picked right now, would probably be meeting in the Eastern Conference Finals one day. The Knicks seem to kind of get the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's because it's the New York Knicks. They have a huge fan base, and there's a lot of reason to believe in the Knicks. But the Pistons, I feel like, are about to put everyone on notice, and I think that comes tonight. More than 27.5 points for Cade Cunningham. I think he has a monster outing.
Detroit might be my favorite NBA team this year.
They're fun to watch.
They play a little bit of a college style. It's rough. They rebound. They're physical.
Yeah, they play. It's like they play the most like an old school, like
it's like them in Houston.
Yeah, like that's if Detroit and Houston met in the NBA Finals, it would be the most 90s style basketball you've ever seen.
There'd be blood everywhere. I would love it.
It would be fun, and it's the Pistons are a fun team to watch, and I think Detroit maybe doesn't get the love, and it's also fun, like Detroit and New York being good. That's good for the NBA. Detroit's been bad for so long. It's good seeing them good. All right, Philly, Denver. Now Denver, obviously, no Nikola Jokic. They've been kind of struggling recently. Philly, though, quietly. Philly started the year really well, went through a little bit of a downer, and for a while there, they couldn't win on the floor when it was Paul George, Maxey, and Embiid. They have put that to bed. They've kind of started to figure out how to play with each other. VJ Edgecombe has kind of taken minutes from Paul George. VJ Edgecombe, the star rookie from Baylor. This team is really deep. You got like Quentin Grimes on that team, Kelly Oubre. The Sixers, if they get in at the bottom of the bracket in the NBA in the East, are going to be hell for someone to take out. In this game tonight, though, Joel Embiid, more than 25.5 points. Denver's really whole front court relies on Jokic. They don't have a lot of depth there, even behind him, because Jokic plays so many minutes. I think Embiid feasts a little bit less to Tyrese Maxey and Paul George tonight. Embiid gets after it. They're resting their starters. They're in the fourth against Denver. My last pick, Houston Phoenix, a fun little rivalry game because you got the Kevin Durant angle, him playing his former team, the Suns. You got Dylan Brooks, who we know likes to stir the pot, playing his old team in Houston. Devin Booker coming off a game where he hit a game winner against the Oklahoma City Thunder, actually beat Oklahoma City the other night. The Phoenix Suns, everyone kind of thought was going through they're going through a little bit of a rebuild after obviously getting rid of Bradley Beal and then getting rid of Kevin Durant. But it's kind of been on the fly. Like Jalen Green hasn't even played very much this year, but we know Devin Booker's a star. Dylan Brooks, to his credit, has actually upped his offensive game. And they've had a lot of talent on that team, Grayson Allen. But I think after coming off an emotional victory against Oklahoma City, 108-105, I don't think they have it in them tonight against Houston. I think Houston gets them. Kevin Durant goes crazy, but we're going to go Dylan Brooks under less than 18.5 points. Regardless of everything I just said, he's hit his over in each of the three of the last 4 games. I think tonight, Amen Thompson, that Rockets defense, they're going to take Booker and him out of it. I think Houston gets us in a runaway, and I think Dylan Brooks gets put back in his place. So to recap, Cade Cunningham for the Detroit Pistons, more than 27.5 points. Joel Embiid, more than 25.5 against Denver tonight. And Dylan Brooks playing his old team in Houston, less than 18.5.
I like it. We need a winner here to kick off Monday, our first full week of 2026. If you had to write down 2026 yet, Sammy?
What do you mean write it down?
Like that's a thing every year where every time you try to write 2026, you actually write 2025. Or if it was a year before.
Yeah. Have
you had to write it down yet?
I haven't. I actually noticed that recently. Like ever since I'm out of school, I never really had to write stuff down.
You don't write anything. So I do, like before any Aztecs basketball game, I do a like breakdown of how the game broadcast is going to go, and I send it out to everybody, including the live reads and stuff. And I have to put the date like 5 or 6 times on that. And so this last Aztecs game against Boise State fell in 2026. I wrote 2025 7 times on that thing and had to erase it 7 different times and put it all back together. So I'm not going to get used to it for another week or 2.
What's the Larry David rule where you can't say Happy New Year?
Happy New Year, Mocha Joe. I believe it's he gets pissed because Mocha Joe is saying it like 3 months into the year.
But isn't it? He said, if someone correct us on the text line 70470. Start your message with team. Isn't it 2 weeks after? Like, what is the cutoff? I haven't actually really said Happy New Year to that many people. I always forget to say it. And I heard we had a meeting before the show today with the whole staff, and everyone saying Happy New Year. I'm like, what is the statute of limitations? I
mean, David says you can't say Happy New Year after January 7th. So we got one more day.
Yeah, I think, because if you say it in like January 10th, it's like, hey, bud, we're already a week and a half into the new year.
Yeah, but what if it's the first time you're seeing somebody? I've been saying it to everybody I've seen today.
But if the first time you see someone's February 1st, you're gonna tell them Happy New Year?
Potentially, yeah.
Like it's not even the new year. Like you're into the year. You're 1/12 of the way into the year.
I usually go by what Larry David says. If he says it, I think it's good.
I think Larry Larry, the greatest.
Jay Silves, you read our mind. He says, can we talk about the LA Chokers collapse? Let's do so on the other side at San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app.
The sport is sponsored by IHOP. Black Monday in the NFL, where a bunch of coaches get fired. Raheem Morris is out of Atlanta. Pete Carroll is out in Las Vegas. But per Ian Rappaport, Miami is likely keeping Mike McDaniel. Dolphins are expected to retain the head coach for the 2026 season. And the Aztecs got a big win on Saturday night over Boise State in basketball, 110-107 in triple overtime. BJ Davis had 22 on the night. They'll be in Nevada taking on the Wolfpack, who have an 11-3 record tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Hear that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Introducing the IHOP value menu. All your breakfast favorites like pancakes, eggs, bacon, or French toast are just $6 every day. Get a big, filling, sit-down breakfast for only $6. Go to your happy plates with the $6 IHOP value menu available every day at IHOP.
Welcome to Fletch Zone.
I'm Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long.
Not like other guys.
Where are we going in sports?
Sound off like you got a pair.
The playoff picture is set, but it looks a little off.
And Dave Canales and Dan Morgan and Mr. Tepper and Bryce Young and all those other guys in Charlotte, you are welcome. The Falcons are going to finish at 8-9.
Here, I've heard it here from Fletch and everyone for months about Chiefs suck. Oh, no.
You smell that, Sammy?
You know what's the best is that
Smells like winning.
But the Seahawks have won this game 13-3 over the Niners.
49ers fall to Seattle. Now head to Philly. while the Rams head to Carolina and the Chargers roll into Foxborough.
We still got more football to play.
Black Monday started on Sunday in the ATL. Who's next?
The Browns have fired Kevin Stefanski.
The Raiders had consistently the worst tape out of anybody in the NFL.
And madness on the Mesa.
Heidi driving on fielder, spins again, puts it up and in, and a foul as well. A chance at a three-point play. 2:04 to play in the third overtime. We're tied at 105.
A triple OT win for the Aztecs.
Emeka Egbuka, more than 24.5 receiving yards at Tampa Bay.
Don't you think?
I try not to.
Christian McCaffrey, more than 46.5 receiving yards now. The line went up.
Are you trying to hurt my feelings?
Kenneth Gainwell, running back for Pittsburgh, more than 30.5 rush yards.
You're not curious? Just to try something new?
Lamar Jackson, more than 25.5 rush yards.
I thought that was terrible.
They were the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
I guess that Chiefs trauma isn't quite out of the system yet. We begin the conversation from the San Diego Sports 760 studios inside the Fletch Zone.
It's hour number 2 here on San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. Let's get it going here in hour number 2. We're going to start by taking a look back at this weekend. So the number 1 seed in the AFC is the Denver Broncos, and good for the Broncos. I don't know how many of us have a bunch of faith in them, but you know what? They did it, man. And the Denver Broncos with Bo Nix as their starting quarterback, Sean Payton as their head coach, have crest the mountain. They are the 1 seed in the AFC, and well-deserved. They won a lot of games this year. Now, a lot of them were close wins over teams like the Jets and teams like the Raiders, but they won a lot of games this year, so Denver Broncos are the 1 seed in the AFC, which is about as wide open as it has been over the last 10 years. Now, that's all fine and dandy. However, it's not like they've looked great at any moment this year. If I'm wrong, correct me. They've had some really good fourth quarters, but I don't think the Denver Broncos have ever looked great once this football season. And in the first round, they may end, or in the second round, excuse me, after their bye, they may end up playing the Los Angeles Chargers, who they just played this past weekend against Trey Lance and a bunch of C-teamers. And so our buddy John Silva on YouTube saying LA Chokers are about to get boat raced. Well, am I the only one who kind of feels like the Chargers may end up getting past the Patriots in the first round? Patriots have not been there. They have not done that. This is a young quarterback.
Neither of the Chargers.
Neither of the Chargers. That's absolutely fair, but they have been there. But this iteration of the Patriots teams have not been there. They have a history. Sure, they've won a bunch of Super Bowls with Tom Brady, but with Mike Vrabel as the head coach and Drake May as the starting quarterback, this will be their first time going in the postseason. And I kind of feel like I like the Chargers in this matchup.
I don't know. If you're a Charger fan, if you look at New England of what you could have gotten,
this is what Harbaugh wanted.
Yeah. I think
Harbaugh purposefully did not play. He didn't have to be the 7th
right.
seed.
So you look at the potential matchups, let's say going into this weekend, going into what we just saw. Denver's a bad matchup, even though I trust Herbert way more than I trust Bo Nix, because the pass rush is unbelievable. And we know the Chargers offensive line issues. Like if you could draw 2 teams the Chargers don't want to play, it's Houston and Denver. That's probably the 2 teams that you would go, I don't want to play them. I think if you're the Chargers, you'd rather play even Buffalo, because at least, even though I'd favor Buffalo,
they don't have a defense.
Right. You can try to get into a track meet with them and see if you can outscore them. So Jacksonville, we saw them beat them 35-6 this year. I don't know in the game. I would lean New England. I think people are maybe a little too, like, I get it. I understand that they haven't been there before, but I'll tell you who has been there before, Mike Vrabel. And I think it's a little bit different than some of these other coaches that maybe first time, Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's been there as the OC, never been there as a head coach. I think if you look at the matchup specifically, yes, the thing that the Patriots do really well, which is pass the football, is the Chargers have one of the best pass defenses in the game. I think it's a pick 'em. I think all these games are really close. It's funny that 2 road teams are favored in the AFC playoffs. Houston and Buffalo are favored over Pittsburgh and Jacksonville. It's so wide open. It's we keep going back to it. It's crazy to think that, right, even the Chargers, who are a 7 seed, 3.5 point dogs, I don't know if I'm picking them, but you could see them winning that game.
Absolutely. Now, what's hilarious about the AFC side of the postseason, New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos had the exact same record at the end of the year. They had to go through like 3 or 4 levels of tiebreakers. Do you know what the deciding factor ended up being for the Patriots to be the 2 seed and the Broncos to be the 1 seed?
I don't know that.
It was the fact that in week 1 of the NFL season, the New England Patriots lost to who? The Las Vegas Raiders. So because they lost to the Raiders in week 1, their strength of schedule dips. And because they lost to the Raiders, that matchup was the reason why the Broncos are the 1 seed and the Patriots are the 2 seed, even though they had identical 14 win seasons, 14-3.
I will say, I think I said this last week.
A team that loses to the Raiders, I don't know if I can trust them in the postseason.
Right, but the problem is, who can you trust?
No one on the AFC side.
I mean, I think it was more crucial for the Broncos to get the 1 seed than it was for the Patriots to get the 1 seed. Because again, in Mike Vrabel, it's still going through Foxborough for most, unless they play Denver. And the funny thing about this is, weirdly, if you're the Patriots, take away the fact that obviously if you're the 1 seed, you want the bye. But who's the one team, despite all their flaws, you're like, I prefer not to see them come in there? Is Buffalo, because they have the best quarterback in the league left in the field. If you're Denver, you're probably seeing Buffalo, assuming the Patriots beat the Chargers. And if you're the Patriots, you go, wait, we get Houston or Pittsburgh? Like it's a weird way. It could be a better path, assuming they don't get beaten the first round by the Chargers. It's just all AFC teams. It's so wide open. I think if you're a gambling person, this is going to be a really fun postseason for you, because like on the NFC side, I believe outside of the Niners and Philly, both 4 of the 6 teams on the road in this first round are all favored.
It's going to be a blast, man. I cannot wait for this weekend in the NFL. This is, it feels like the biggest crapshoot we've had in a long time in the NFL postseason. Our buddy Trey saying the second best team in the NFC in the head coach's first year and the quarterback's second year says a lot. The future is bright, and we Chicagoans are ready for round 3. Chicago Bears fans should be excited. This was an excellent season for you. I don't know if I see the Chicago Bears making it to the Super Bowl, but congratulations. Caleb Williams, and the future is bright in Chicago. Proud of you, FedEx Trey. Really am. Proud of your team. All right, we had a big one in the first hour because Sammy and I were arguing about the Seahawks and the 49ers, which was fun, and we could do that again, of course. But it's time for a true big 3 here in hour number 2. Sammy, smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big 3.
What day do you think we'll do all our picks, Sammy, for the first round of the
Friday.
postseason? Friday is when we have to lock them in?
Friday. So I think we're gonna do a little thing where we're gonna make our picks. We're gonna I think we're gonna fill out the entire bracket. I think we're gonna get Schaefer, Fletch and I will do it. We're gonna get Brent.
The NFL bracket moves so much, though. You might have teams in the second round who aren't even playing each other that you're trying to fill out the bracket.
Well, yeah, that's it. We pick March Madness brackets, right?
Right, but those brackets, it's very clear that if the 16 beats the 1, well, they're going on to play X, who the 1 seed would have played.
It's simple math. The lower seed plays the higher seed.
I know it's simple, but it does get tricky when you're doing this because it's a shifting scale.
Are you scared to make picks? I picked the entire NFL playoff. First off, I picked the Super Bowl last year. I just picked the wrong team, unfortunately. But I've been going over my picks. I feel good about where I'm going with
this. So Friday, we're locking this in.
Friday, we're locking in all our
picks. I got like 5 days to change my mind a million times.
Yeah.
Because that's going to happen.
But we might have to record the thing on Thursday, so you might have to make a decision by Thursday.
Okay, well, we're going to need
we all know you're picking the Niners win the Super Bowl, so it's kind of a moot point in the NFC.
I'm rich if the Niners win the Super Bowl, so yeah, baby. All right, where are we going with the big 3, Sammy?
All right, so Lamar Jackson's out, Burrow's out, Mahomes is out. Josh Allen, it's Josh Allen's show. All right, he's the guy that has the most pressure of anyone in the postseason. I don't think that's really debatable. We'll include the AFC and the NFC. What quarterback is under the second most amount of pressure behind Josh Allen to go far?
It feels pretty obvious to me. This is Jalen Hurts, baby. The defending champ.
What?
How could it not be? The defending champ with a very similar roster. How can the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, if the Bills are they a 6 seed? I'm pretty sure they're the 6 seed.
They're 6 seed.
And the Eagles are a division champ once again this year. How could it not be Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles? Look at the rest of the list. Brock Purdy's been there, sure. He should have a lot of pressure on him, but his entire team's hurt.
Jalen Hurts has been there.
Jalen
won
Hurts,
one.
Yeah, of course he did. But is it not? Does Mahomes every time he gets to the postseason not have any pressure on him?
Well, he has pressure, but if you would have said last year, Mahomes didn't have the most pressure of anyone.
Who else could it be? A bunch of guys who have been to the first round of the postseason or never to the postseason? It doesn't feel very fair to put pressure on them.
Well, I got okay. Well,
I feel like it would go Hurts and Purdy in that order after Josh Allen.
I think Purdy has a lot of pressure to prove that he can be that guy, especially after Saturday's performance. And now he might get a chance to prove everyone wrong, including me. And I think I'm going to be right, but he's going to have to be going on the road. He made it more difficult on himself, so we'll see that. Justin Herbert. Are we going to forget about Justin Herbert?
He would be right after Purdy for me.
Justin Herbert has deserved a lot of praise, and he's been fantastic this year. But let's also not forget what has happened in the postseason with Justin Herbert. He's been twice. Gave up the 27-point lead to Jacksonville. If you want to put that on the defense, that's fine. He didn't score in the second half, but that's fine. Last year, he had 3 interceptions going into the playoff game against Houston. He threw 4 in that game. And I think a lot of these excuses have been fair, so I'll give Herbert this. Brandon Staley was an idiot. He was a terrible head coach, thought he was reinventing the wheel, going for it in that Raider game on his own 18-yard line. In that Raider game where they had a chance to get in, he lost that one. So Staley was head coach. Then it was receivers last year. Then it's offensive line this year. Well, he's got his head coach. He's got receivers. And no, is the offensive line good? But I think if he doesn't win this playoff game, we're talking about Justin Herbert being 0-3 in the postseason. And at some point, you have to actually win a game.
Sure. And he's hurt too this year, but I don't think that matters. Herbert absolutely has a ton of pressure on him. Our boy FedEx Trey saying Stafford or Darnold. I disagree with that pretty wholeheartedly. It feels like Stafford's legacy is set, and he's on a great team again. He may go win another Super Bowl. I don't put a ton of pressure.
That's my point to Mahomes. If Stafford, let's say Mahomes, well, he did lose last year at the Super Bowl, but let's say he lost in the first round. Let's say he lost to Houston. People go, that's a disappointing season for Mahomes, but no one's questioning Mahomes' legacy.
For sure. But the difference with Hurts is there's people in Philadelphia who don't want him to be the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's fair, but I feel like the Eagles have so many more problems than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been in 2 Super Bowls, played well in both, and won one.
Now,
so
the Sam Darnold thing from our buddy FedEx Trey, I don't get that at all. I think Sam Darnold's playing with house money right now.
I think he's got pressure.
He gets to flip the middle finger to the Minnesota Vikings and say, you didn't want to pay me, and instead you went with J.J. McCarthy. How'd that season go,
Well, he gets to flip the middle finger to the Vikings and the Niners who gave up on him. But you sit there and go, if he loses in the first round, having the 1 seed, people are going to go to Sam Darnold. What does it take?
Is it fair to say the Niners gave up on Sam Darnold?
Well, he was in the building.
He never even played for the Niners.
He was in the building.
He was in the building.
Apparently, he was lined up at training camp.
They developed him. I think Joe Montana was on record saying something about Sam Darnold. He looks great, but Purdy looks good too. Like, they're fine with that.
Well, I don't know how you could say Jalen Hurts has more pressure than Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, any of those guys, because they haven't won a Super Bowl. Darnold hasn't been. Purdy went and lost. Herbert's 0-2 in the postseason.
Right, but how many of those guys can you say they might not be the quarterback of the team next year?
Jalen Hurts isn't going anywhere.
We think that. Do we know that?
You think the Eagles are drafting a quarterback next year?
No, I don't think they're drafting a quarterback, but there are people in Philadelphia calling for Jalen Hurts to be removed as the quarterback.
Okay, well, yeah, but that's because Eagle fans are Eagle fans. This is what they do. Like that, but that's no. If they were like, we're getting rid of Jalen Hurts, people will go, great, we'll take Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
He's a Super Bowl champion. He's won an MVP or not MVP, won a Super Bowl MVP,
and then the tush push gets banned and he's useless.
Now, I'm not putting Philly's problems on Jalen Hurts.
All right, what's next, Sammy?
Okay. Let's go to Miami. So Tua says getting a fresh start in 2026, quote, would be dope, per Tua Tagovailoa. Just per reports, per Ian Rappaport, Mike McDaniel is coming back. He will not be fired. He will be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins next year. Do you think Tua should get a starting job in the NFL next year?
I don't. I think I've said this before. I'll say it again. Tua needs to go to a McVay as a backup. He needs to go to a Shanahan as a backup. Tua needs to go somewhere where he can sort of completely reset his career and his mindset for the future. I think a year off would do him a lot of good. A, get a little bit healthier. B, learn under an offensive genius. It wouldn't be bad for him to be the backup in Miami for a year, if I'm being completely honest. But Tua needs a year where he doesn't have to worry about the winning or the losing. He just needs to worry about learning the game of football. He never had that as a rookie. He never got to sit behind someone and learn. And Tua, we know, has talent. Tua throws one of the prettier deep balls in all of football right now, but it just hasn't worked out with Miami, and clearly he's lost the locker room a little bit. So Tua goes, sit somewhere, be a backup under a Kevin O'Connell, Kyle Shanahan, even a Mike McDaniel, even a Sean McVay, and learn for a year, and we'll see if he gets another shot to start somewhere. But I don't think he should start next year, even if it's with the Raiders or the Cardinals or someone who's looking for a quarterback.
I mean, I guess if you're going to do the whole bridge quarterback thing, it's a weird thing with Tua because
I don't think he's done. I just don't think it should be next year.
The thing with Tua, though, is that, like, I was having this debate with someone. Someone's like, is Tua Tagovailoa a bust? Because your first reaction is yes, and I think he is. But he also had Miami in the playoffs a couple of years, or had him as the 1 year they lost to the Chiefs in that freezing cold game.
He had the number one offense in football that year, I believe.
Number one offense in football. So, like, when you classify bust, yes, I think Tua Tagovailoa is a bust. But he's not the typical. He's not a Ryan Leaf, Jamarcus Russell bust. Where you're like, this dude cannot play the game of football. Like, they're just frankly bad and have no business being in the NFL. Tua will get a job somewhere, but then if you're looking at a bridge quarterback, if you're looking at someone to carry the team while someone develops, ideally you would want a guy that you don't have injury concerns about. You don't have concussion concerns about him being on the field. And that's a real thing with Tua is he going to be there? Like, how many more concussions can this guy take before he has to medically retire? That was a real question about them going into the season. If I'm a Miami fan, I am ecstatic that Mike McDaniel's back. I think that was kind of idiotic. I get anytime a team is bad, you're going to look at the head coach, but they were the 2 seed until they got knocked out by the Bills. The final game of the regular season, they lost to the Chiefs. Tua was hurt for most of the year last year. This year, Tyreek Hill gets hurt. The season looks lost. They rip off a bunch of games at the end of the year. So I don't think Mike McDaniel's the problem. If I'm Miami, I don't think they're in a terrible spot going into next season. Look at the Browns. So the Browns fire Kevin Stefanski. They're going to keep Andrew Berry as the GM. Andrew Berry says the new coach will have a say in the 2026 QB call. If you're the Browns, would you take a quarterback this year? Would you wait and take one next year in a loaded draft class and let Shador try something else? Or would you go in a completely different direction, go sign somebody, a.k.a. Tua, try to get a Kyler Murray, someone like that?
Yeah, the Browns are in a tricky spot because Shador looked good. The Browns are in a tricky spot because you still have Myles Garrett in his absolute prime. The dude just set the record for sacks in a single season yesterday. Even though, do you think Joe Burrow kind of gave it to him? Joe Burrow kind of laid down when Myles Garrett sacked him. It was a little bit of like Joe Burrow had it with a wink, wink.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah. But look, the Browns are in a tricky spot because Shador has shown that he can be a quarterback in this league. It hasn't necessarily translated to wins, but man, was Cleveland Browns football exciting for a little bit with Shador Sanders? He was throwing the ball down the field and making some big catches.
Better than Dylan Gabriel.
Definitely better than Dylan Gabriel. I kind of feel like he deserves another shot to show what he is. Now, that doesn't mean in the second or third round, if there's some guy you like who's there, you don't take a chance on him. I don't think Shador should just be the unquestioned starter for the next 5 years, that you should just devote all the power into him. And maybe it's a guy, maybe it's a Kyler who can come into Cleveland. I don't know. But the Browns are in a tricky spot, man. And whoever this head coach is, you got to have some clarity on the direction. If it is going to be Shador, I do think you need to start dedicating full-time energy, power to him. But I don't know that that's the right route to go, man. But he was exciting.
Well, I think the best thing that Shador has going, there's talent there. I'm not saying Shador's going to be a star. There was a lot of boneheaded mistakes at times this year.
Absolutely.
The Steeler game, he threw a ball way across his body, like did everything a quarterback's not supposed to do. But Shador has shown some talent at times. Harold Fannin Jr., the tight end, looks like he's a nice piece. And to be fair to Shador, the Cleveland Browns, Jerry Jeudy being your best offensive weapon is not exactly right. You know, you're not writing home about it. So, and you look at the draft class. So Mendoza, in all likelihood, is going one of the Raiders. That's going to be debated. Will Dante Moore? I think it's going to be Mendoza at the end of the day. I feel like the Raiders would be idiotic to pass up on Mendoza. Does Dante Moore come out? If he does, I don't know if he drops that far to them. But considering the draft class, like Ty Simpson didn't look all that great at Alabama. I don't know if there's another first-round guy. And if you're the Browns, I don't think you want to take a guy like a Ty Simpson from Alabama who could be something, but then you're just sitting there going, well, Shador could be something. Ty Simpson could be something. I would rather wait a year. If Shador bottoms out again and you're like, all right, Shador's done, we're done with him, then you're looking at a quarterback class that's stacked. You could have Arch. You could have Jaden Maeba from USC. There's a lot of guys coming out in next year's draft class. Trinidad Chambliss from Ole Miss coming back another year. So,
not to mention you spent 2 draft picks a year ago on quarterbacks.
Right. So
that means you're taking away from other position groups, which are easier to hit on later in the draft.
I really wonder if I'm the Browns, and I know Browns fans go, what? Myles Garrett's 30, and he's unbelievable. You could get 2 first-round picks at least.
They just signed him, though.
I know, but that helps someone else's team would go, great, he's locked under contract, 3 first-round picks. It's not like the Browns are contending next year. If you were stockpiling picks, and I get it, it's kind of like the Raiders where they haven't had a lot of success in drafting, but it just feels like, are you like the Raiders, you're letting Max Crosby, you're letting Myles Garrett and these great talent waste away on teams that aren't very good.
And you could tell that record meant something to Myles Garrett. So is there a decline in his play after this year? I see what you're saying. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. Try to get a couple first rounds over the next couple of years.
Like, I just feel like by the time the Browns are, let's say, good, let's say everything goes according to plan the next 2-3 years. Myles Garrett's 33, 34.
Right.
Is he the same player, and now you're losing him for nothing? I just feel like if you're the Browns, you got some balls, you would trade him.
Right, because the best thing the Browns have going for them right now is they got 2 young running backs who look like they could be the real deal, and that could carry you through a season. If you really beef up the offensive line this upcoming draft, and maybe you start finding the replacement for Myles Garrett, see if you can hit on somebody. The Browns are in a tough spot, but I don't think it's a bad spot. but that is a tough job for him.
They had a great job last year trading away the pick to get Travis Hunter to the Jags and acquiring another first-round pick this year.
Absolutely. All right, one more.
That was three. But we got some great texts rolling in about Jalen Hurts pressure versus Matthew Stafford pressure. We want to get to next.
Get to him on the other side. It's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. Aztecs are back tomorrow night. They go on the road taking on Nevada. Pregame coverage gets going at 7. John Schaefer will have the tip just around 8 o'clock right here on San Diego Sports 760. It doesn't get easier in the Mountain West for San Diego State. Nevada's 3-0. It only gets tougher, man. All these coaches know each other so well. The teams know each other so well. And San Diego State's going to have to be near perfect in the Mountain West to get that at-large bid, which I don't think they've flushed away yet by any means. But you think about the game against Boise State, Sammy, going in 51 and 52. It was Boise State at 52, San Diego State at 51 in KenPom. Coming out of that game, Boise State, who lost, jumps up to 50. San Diego State stays at 51.
I hate that in college basketball.
It's just how it works.
It drives me crazy. Yes.
Even if San Diego State had won that game by 10 points, they maybe only jump up 3 or 4 spots.
It's such a weird thing in college basketball because if you ask coaches, they're not looking at the metrics every day. They're thinking I want to get young talent. Like if you're up 20 points and there's 5 minutes left in the game, you're like, I want to get my young guys some talent and some run. But then all of a sudden you're looking at KenPom or whatever it is in the metrics, and they only win by 10, and then they're taking a hit. Like that drives me crazy in the sport that it's like, yeah, the Aztecs won the game.
By the way, San Diego State won that game by 3 points. It was 110-107.
The spread was 3.5, right?
Spread was 3.5. BJ Davis did a little flip that left his hand just after the buzzer, and it was kind of a layup, and it went in. If it would have counted, they would have moved up in the metrics.
See that's crazy to me. I love college basketball, but that's like That bugs
I think
me.
it was a 4.5 point spread. So they would have won in that situation by 5. So they would have covered, and it would have made all the difference.
Like, I understand if you're playing Southeast Illinois State, okay, and you're a 35.5 point favorite and you win by 2. Yes, you should be docked for that. Like in college football, if you play a directional school and you barely win, I get it. But when it's like that, it feels like, what are we doing here?
All right, we got a couple of texts we wanted to get to. 615. This is very funny. Yes, Tua throws the most beautiful 10 yards underthrown deep ball in the league. Tua does. Okay. In that season where that Miami offense was setting records, going nuts, they had a bunch of fast guys.
Tyreek and Waddle after the catch.
Yeah, but Tua throws a nice ball, man, when he's in the right offense. 858. I'm in Cancun and Andy Reid is staying at my resort, and I heard him talking about drafting Diego Pavia and ordering more tacos.
No.
Sammy, there you go.
No.
The Chiefs are fixed.
This isn't about this is not a day about the Chiefs. This is a day about the Niners.
619. The discussion regarding Jalen Hurts having pressure and fans wanting to replace him has been resolved after Sunday's game. The backup Tanner McKee looked like a baby giraffe scrambling around, and fans have sobered up and are back on the Hurts train. By the way, I can sense the Philly hate in Fletch's take as he knows what's coming this Sunday. Love the show. From Brian. Yeah, Brian, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. Also, I think because the Niners lost to the Seahawks, something has to happen with me and Stan.
Oh, that's happening. But you thought you were going to slide through it.
No. I'm a man of my word. I'm a man. I pay my debts.
I texted Stan the second the Seahawks won.
Is he coming on Wednesday?
There might be some surprises.
Goodness gracious. I already had to wear a jersey today. I didn't fit into. I don't want to wear another one I don't fit into.
Oh, yeah. What's with you in there? I didn't. First off, we had a meeting before this show, and I didn't get the memo that everyone's supposed to wear sports jerseys.
No one did. In fact, Kat Fisher was the only one who got it. And so she told us all to bring jerseys. And Rich said, I'll bring Ornberger jerseys for all of us to wear. And now NFL jerseys, even Rich was 325 pounds.
And they have to be built for pads.
Right. But they suck them in tight around the belly, especially for offensive linemen, because you don't want anything extra for defensive linemen to grab onto. So Rich, he brings in a box full of jerseys. He puts on his like commemorative Patriots jersey that was for the London game, I believe, that wasn't game worn at all. And then he had a bunch of game worn ones. And so he throws this little thing at me and over the head, perfect, because the shoulder pads are huge. And then it gets around the belly and I'm like a sausage, dude.
By the way, I was like sitting there in the meeting and I was like, Rich's 2 of his 3 former teams are playing on Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm assuming with him going with the Patriots jersey, he's pulling for the Patriots. But I don't know.
Because Rich is as mad as any San Diego Charger fan that he left.
No. Yeah. So I'm assuming he's going with New England.
I want to say he may root for Keenan Allen because that's his former teammate.
Oh.
But other than that, like Mike Vrabel and him missed in New England by a couple of years. So I don't know where. That'd be an interesting question.
Maybe Rich got to pop on the show this week.
Oh, we'll have him on. That's the reason. If only the Cardinals were in the playoffs, then we could have done the full
trifecta for him.
And then Penn State wasn't irrelevant. We could have done all 4.
Yeah.
All right, we got to take a break. Coming up on the other side, let's talk about Diego Pavia as the new quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Let's talk about. We got some great texts.
I like the Jalen Hurts thing.
And Stafford as well.
Continue on with that and Matt Stafford. That's next. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport is sponsored by Unbound.com. Tua Tagovailoa says getting a fresh start in 2026 would be, quote, dope. After Ian Rappaport has been reporting that Mike McDaniel, head coach of the Miami Dolphins, will be back in Miami for next year, while Pete Carroll and Jonathan Gannon, Kevin Stefanski, and Raheem Morris all got sent packing after their year in the NFL as head coaches. And the Seattle Seahawks, per DraftKings, are the favorite at plus 350 to win the Super Bowl. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Sports radio is a really funny place. And I've been here, 8-9 years now, somewhere in there, and worked with a lot of different people. Steve Hartman, one of my favorite I've ever worked with. But we talked a lot of sports today, rightfully so. We have the NFL playoff bracket. We had a wild week of NFL games. San Diego State with the crazy buzzer beaters, plural, on Saturday against Boise State. But I failed to acknowledge something that happened on Friday, and I need to get Sammy's reaction and if there was any extra reaction over the weekend to what happened. But on Friday, Steve Hartman joined the show for his usual 1:30 appearance. And look, I've been in this world, Sammy, and Mike Costa at one point claimed he was my biological father. And that he was a pizza delivery man in Merced, California around the time I was born. And that's how it went down with him and my mom. But Steve that's a wild thing to say on the radio. Costa said that on radio and had some facts to back it up. I don't know.
Wild behavior.
So Steve Hartman on Friday said he had intimate knowledge of how Sammy Long came to be. And I want to know if there was any reaction around the long dinner table about what Steve Hartman had to say on the radio.
So I got home and my mom had actually texted at the beginning of the segment because
Steve has known your family for years.
Oh, yeah.
Decades.
I've known Steve. Steve brought me on the Loose Cannons, which is my favorite radio. When I was growing up in San Diego, I listened to Loose Cannons every day. It was the only show I listened to.
Steve and Mike?
Yes.
Stephen Costa.
Stephen Costa. Yes. I listened to Loose Cannons every day. And they would bring me on as the Chiefs insider. If any of you have listened to the station for a long time, I used to come on like 10 years ago. And Fletch would always answer the phone. It's kind of a full circle moment that we're doing a show together all these years later. But so I've known Steve a long time, just like Fletch has. And so, yes, on Friday, if you weren't listening, he said he had intimate knowledge of how I was conceived. And then when Fletch and I go, ew, that's kind of gross, goes, no, seriously, I know exactly what happened. And I was like, I'd prefer not to know that. That's not something I'm really that interested.
Sammy, when a mommy and a daddy love each other very much.
It's like that Tyler Huntley commercial, the backup commercial.
Sure.
Where he gets put in. He's like, now I'm so understand life. But so anyway, so my mom texted at the beginning of the segment. I asked the question. Fletch and I go, who was the most famous person from your high school? Because Steve mentioned on air that his high school reunion was coming up, and he goes through. He went to same high school with Ice Cube and Eazy-E, Jeff Fisher, all these people. Like kind of crazy that he went to high school. And then he says that. So my mom texted at the beginning. She's like, "Oh, good question from you and Fletch. Like I enjoy listening to this." Then it goes dark, and I hear this, and I'm driving home. I'm like, I wonder if my parents heard that. And so then I get home, and I'm like, "Hey, did you hear this Steve interview?" She's like, "Yeah, I heard it." So did you hear the end of it? She goes, yeah, I heard it. I go, so this is kind of odd, kind of odd that he's saying that. And then she's like, he has no knowledge of anything that happened between your father and I. And I was like, that's the way I like it. I don't know what Steve is imagining in his dreams at night.
Steve Hartman's a wild boy.
Steve Hartman. The things that go through that man's head.
Well, to Mrs. Long and Mr. Long, I apologize on behalf of Steve Hartman. That was a crazy thing to say live on radio.
Steve's not listening, so my dad was gonna call him as a prank, even though he wasn't mad, and pretend to be like pissed off and like watch him like piss his pants.
Well, if that does happen, please record it so we can air it back live at some point.
That might happen this week.
Bring Steve on and then have another phone line going.
Oh, Friday.
It's not a bad idea.
Friday at 1:30.
Not a bad idea.
That'd be interesting.
Steve's going to be in the middle of saying something about Andy Reid and likes to bring that up and how Brock Purdy sucks. And then all of a sudden it's just going to be like, Steve, you want to fight?
That would be an interesting.
Brian, I know. You know I know, Brian.
I built that station.
All right,
Steve Hartman.
Let's see here. Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford. Sammy brought this up. Said outside of Josh Allen, who clearly has the most pressure, no one's arguing that. Who's next up in the NFL postseason this year? And it's a complicated answer because it goes into a couple different things. Because when you look at it on the outset, there's not a whole lot on anybody heading into this NFL postseason, because a lot of people, this is a brand new crop. Like, we got a bunch of first-time quarterbacks in the NFL playoffs. We got a bunch of first-time head coaches in the NFL playoffs. You look at Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel. They've been there as assistants. Oh, I guess Mike Vrabel took the Titans to a couple playoffs, but first time with the Patriots. So you look, and there's a lot of new in this NFL playoffs, but the list will pop up. It's Matthew Stafford. It's Jalen Hurts. It's Brock Purdy. It's Sam Darnold. It's Justin Herbert. Absolutely. It's Trevor Lawrence to a lesser extent. And you get into this conversation, and I say Jalen Hurts is under a ton of pressure because it's him defending the Super Bowl. Not only that, but also there are people in Philly legitimately thinking that maybe it's time to move on from Jalen Hurts, that maybe he's not the guy to usher them into the next era of success with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I would say that's kind of crazy. Sammy would say that's kind of crazy, but there is pressure there for that. Now, the interesting thing we got on Matthew Stafford came from our buddy. Where is that, Sammy? Do we need to scroll up a little bit? Or I can pull it up on mine. But who was that said that? FedEx Trey said, I think Stafford's pressure is in that legacy. If he wins a second Super Bowl, he jumps so many people in the all-time standings, but not nearly the pressure that's facing Justin Herbert, Bo Nix,
and Caleb Williams. I think so. That's an interesting angle. So if you take it in different, I think if you put everyone in tiers, like you have the tier of Josh Allen, of that
he's kind of alone.
He's alone. He has been labeled as, and it's fair, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he has not got it done in the postseason.
And he's never won a road postseason game.
Never won a road playoff game.
Which is crazy to me.
0-4 against Mahomes, 0-1 against Burrow, and he's 1-0 against Lamar. So it's kind of all on him. With no Lamar, no Burrow, and no Mahomes, there's really no excuses. If he doesn't get there, there's not an excuse that can be made for him. But let's take Josh Allen aside. Then you have the NFC. Hurts has won a Super Bowl. Stafford's won a Super Bowl. I agree with FedEx Trey. Stafford is thought of as an all-time great quarterback. If he wins a second one, you start having a different conversation with Matthew Stafford versus just having one.
He may already be a Hall of Famer. He becomes a lock, no doubt.
I think he's a lock already, but certainly if he wins the second one. In Hurts, I don't think he has the most, but I get what you're saying in that they have a stacked roster. How many more years are you going to be able to keep this roster together? Because it's a lot, like that entire defense going to come up in a year or two to get paid.
And it's been an underachieving team this year with a similar roster that boat raced the Super Bowl a year ago. So Jalen Hurts just has like, okay, you did it. Can you do it again? Matthew Stafford's is different though. It's because I don't put much pressure on Stafford here. He's in the twilight years of his career. He has a great team.
That would be the only reason you would have pressure, is that how many more shots does he have?
You could easily see him winning the Super Bowl this year. It'd be disappointing if they didn't, but Stafford's career is already what Stafford's career was. And he was great in two different places. Didn't have the winning success in Detroit, but had all sorts of passing milestones, had one of the greatest wide receiver quarterback combos we've ever seen in the NFL, period, with him and Calvin Johnson. That all happened in the first part of his career. In the second part, he's got a Super Bowl. And he's got a real legit chance at a second Super Bowl with this squad. So I almost take Stafford as like, yeah, we've written Stafford's history, and I don't know how much more it'd do a lot, but how much greater Stafford becomes in my mind if he wins a second.
And then I think you put everyone else in tiers. Like I have it just in my head. Stroud, Herbert, and T-Law are all in this interesting group because they're all former really high draft picks who have all the talent in the world.
Who after the first year we wanted to crown them. Every single one of them had bounced back to earth year twos and then have kind of cropped back up there into being maybe the guys we thought they were. But none of them have really done it in the postseason. Houston has one playoff win over Cleveland. They lost to the Chiefs and they lost to Baltimore. Herbert's never won in the postseason, and T-Law's only win was against Herbert in the postseason. So like a 35-point comeback. It was crazy.
Right. And then you have your other tier of your young quarterbacks, your Drake May, your Bo Nix, your Caleb Williams. You know, maybe you put Jordan Love in there. Jordan Love and Purdy maybe are in a similar tier. It's interesting how it's like they're all competing among who's going to be the best young guy between Bo Nix, Drake May, and Caleb with the second-year quarterbacks. Who's going to be the best is someone going to step up against Josh Allen with Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen out, or Burrow and Lamar out? It's just, I see what you're saying about how, like you were like, there's not a ton of guys that have a ton of pressure outside of Josh Allen. I think if these guys want to rewrite their narratives, there's a lot of question marks about like after you take Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Lamar, you can argue 5. Like you could argue Jalen Hurts.
3 of those guys aren't even in the postseason this year.
Right. So
this is a year where you could rewrite some narratives about the entirety of the NFL.
I think when you look at like Bo Nix and Caleb Williams, look at their divisions. They're in tough divisions going forward, and those divisions aren't going anywhere. So
there's something to be said about we don't take you seriously until we see it. And this is an opportunity for all of them to make us see it and force us to see it here in this NFL postseason. If Bo Nix has one of those moments, those moments that you see on the highlight reel next year, where in the playoffs he steps up and makes the big throw, whether it's to Cortland Sutton or whoever on their team, if Bo Nix has one of those moments, all of a sudden he gets taken much more seriously. And that goes for a lot of the guys you just talked about. If CJ Stroud has a 60-yard touchdown pass in the waning moments of a divisional round matchup to Nico Collins, where he goes in for a score and it's a game winner, like that moment cements itself in CJ Stroud's legacy. God, this is a good postseason.
It's just like of the top seeds. Like I'm just like thinking here, like it's just tough because if you take out those top 4 quarterbacks that everyone would, if you were like drafting again, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Lamar. A lot of people would say Jalen Hurts is above a lot of because he's won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Stafford is great, but he's old. Jordan Love, people have said should be considered up there. People have thought Brock Purdy should be up there. People have thought Justin Herbert should be up there. Trevor Lawrence at one point in time. CJ Stroud. So one of these guys is going to make a name for themselves, and it's just kind of it's a Josh Allen show. It's like if Josh Allen,
it's good. I think it's good that this year is a little different. That this year's not just the same. Oh, what's Mahomes going to do? What is Lamar Jackson going to do? What is Josh Allen? I feel like this is a more team-oriented NFL postseason,
right?
Because the 1 seed in the AFC is a team that largely relies on their defense. The 1 seed in the NFC,
and a lot of people don't believe in,
is a quarterback who was left for dead after his first team kind of flamed out in the New York Jets. So I think that this is a fascinating NFL postseason.
To that point, before we get to break. Take Sam Darnold and Bo Nix. If you were doing a draft of every quarterback in the postseason to start your team, would either of them be in the top 5?
Not right now.
Right. So there's a lot of pressure of like the teams that like if Buffalo had the 1 seed, let's just say that everyone go, okay, it's kind of Buffalo's to lose. But the interesting storyline there is like, yeah, they have the best quarterback in the postseason, but Josh Allen's also never won a road playoff game and he has to go win 3 of them.
And he doesn't have a defense right now. So it's going to be fascinating, man. All right, we're going to take our final break of the day here, but I implore you to stay tuned through this commercial break because we get to tell you about a new friend of the show. How about that?
Hey.
Valley View Casino on board for 2026. We're damn glad to have you. I was just at Valley View. That place is amazing, man. If you haven't made the trek up in a while, you got to check it out. Some brand new stuff. I'm going to tell you all about it here in just a couple seconds. So don't go anywhere. It's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey, it's Fletch for Valley View Casino and Hotel. Let's just start this off by thanking Valley View for jumping on, believing in this show. As much as I believe in Valley View Casino and Hotel, my wife and I were just up there. Man, the place is looking good. Coming up, Dave's $250,000 weekend windfall. You can join Valley View Casino and Hotel for the windfall happening on Friday, January 16th. You could be one of 10 guests who will spin to win the $25,000 prize. That's right. More than 10 guests could walk away with $25,000 each. Plus, more play will be awarded throughout the night. You can earn entries all month long through slot or table gameplay and activate your entry multiplier at our guest service kiosks located throughout the casino. Then be there on January 16th from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. for your chance to win. While you're there, don't forget to join the Players Club. Signing up is always quick, easy, and free. Plus, right now, when you join the Players Club, you're going to receive over $200 in free offers to use at San Diego's favorite casino. We're talking about free play offers to enjoy instantly at Valley View Casino, including $10 and more play. That's free slot play, $10 in match play, $20 to the Black and Blue Steakhouse, which is fantastic, $10 to Patties and Pints, $10 to the cafe, $10 to Sticks or Snacks, $10 to Sweets, $10 to the Corner Market, a free collectible t-shirt, and 2 free Maine Lobster buffets when you upgrade from the red card to the blue card status. I am almost there. And when you use your player's card on all your favorite slots or table games, the more rewards you'll earn, like complimentary dining, free hotel stays, luxury gifts, invitations to exclusive events, and more. So don't miss out. Visit Valley View Casino and Hotel on January 16th for Dave's $250,000 weekend windfall and join the Ultimate Players Club to get over $200 in free offers today. To learn more, visit valleyviewcasino.com. All guests 21 and over are invited to enjoy the casino, hotel, and restaurants. Final time here. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you. John Schaefer's coming up right after we get off. John, dude, my guy goes Holiday Bowl on Friday night, which was a good game. AMU or SMU in Arizona. Fun game, man. SMU tried.
Yeah, it was like a dud at half, and then all of a sudden Arizona came ripping back.
Weird game. And then John called the triple overtime game between San Diego State and Boise State that had all the emotions and all the stress in the world in it. But John Schaefer's coming up next. We'll see how good of a show he has for us. 858. So did Fletch keep Rich's jersey? And if so, how can I acquire it? No, I gave it back, but it's weird. Rich is not sentimental, I would say, unless it's about his kids. But like his NFL stuff, he was fine giving it all away at first. And then his wife actually made him keep a bunch of his stuff. And now I think he's really glad she did. So I don't think anyone's prying those out of his hands. But it's cool.
Those are, he can
Cardinals
sell those
jersey,
bad boys.
Patriots jersey, Chargers jerseys. But the Patriots jersey was actually from the game he played at Wembley Stadium, which do you know how many people all over the world, like their number one dream is to even just set foot in Wembley Stadium to watch?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's like, if there's any Brits listening, that's like
that's the Mecca.
The pinnacle.
That's the place.
That'd be like playing like in basketball at the Garden. Like everyone at MSG, like that's like kind of.
Yeah, I remember I got to go. I like stepped foot on the Michigan tunnel where the players run out.
Big house. That's cool.
And I'm like, oh, this is different. This is bigger than just people running on a field and hitting each other.
Mm-hmm.
This is something almost
here.
biblical.
Yeah.
And that's what sports do for people. And that's why we get so crazy about them. And that's why Sammy and I can fight for 2 hours about Brock Purdy. It's because this means something to people. And man, I love it. All right. Lori says, Happy New Year. Also, I actually liked the Stranger Things finale, but they could have made it a lot shorter. I didn't dislike it.
Yeah.
I want to make that very clear.
Well, Happy New Year, Lori. This is my thing with it, because Fletch and I think felt the same way. It wasn't a bad finale.
No.
I'll make that clear. Like I enjoyed it.
I forgot we talked about this on Friday.
I watched it. I was like, cool. Again, it's kind of hard because it can't get into like what actually happened. It was just a little. I'm going to say this again, and for those who watched it will understand. If you didn't watch it, you won't get it. I feel like they just ripped off so much of Harry Potter, and it was bothering me once I figured that out. I'm like, the whole mind link thing.
Yeah,
that's Harry Potter.
It was a lot. My whole problem with it, and I like the finale a lot better than I like the 3 Christmas episodes, but
yes,
it felt like there was something big missing from the finale. And I'm going to say it to Sammy only right now and see if he agrees. Right.
Well, so I actually asked people, and I think we got an answer.
I got an answer. It's a bad answer. It's a dumb answer, because if they were there, it's over. It's done. But I don't know.
This is real quick though. This is what happens when, and it's a great show. So like Stranger Things, great show. If you've never seen it, it's worth a full watch.
I'd say through 4 seasons, it was perfect. Through 5 seasons, it was a really good show.
It's what happens when a show gets big, and then all of a sudden there's a gazillion characters, by the way, who all the kids who weren't stars before then became stars. So their agents and everything are like, trust me, they're like, I need this many lines. He or she needs to be in this enough and have this much. So it was too much for me. There was too many storylines going on, and it was like, there wasn't enough central storyline. It was too many side quests.
Yeah.
It started bothering me.
But it was a great show. I'm glad it happened. They're already talking about spinoffs. I don't think we need.
You know what? I just told Fletch. I just started watching. I never watched The West Wing. Really into it.
I've never seen it either. I have buddies who swear it's the greatest TV show ever.
You see, like with the walk and talks and the dialogue, like people say the dialogue was very transformational. I get what they're saying. Like,
but it's all dialogue, right? There's
the whole time they're in the White House. Yeah.
There's no action. There's no real anything like that. Where it's like, for me, like I'll tell you, 24 is like one of my favorite shows ever.
Jack Bauer does not get enough respect.
Kicking ass the entire time.
I've watched every episode of 24
multiple times. I love that show. I think it's perfect. Because they don't take themselves too seriously, and it's Jack Bauer's a freaking superhero, but he's just a man, and he has a heroin addiction at times.
Yes, the only problem with 24 is how he gets from one place to another in Los Angeles traffic at 5 o'clock in 20 minutes. It's the only gripe, but otherwise, fantastic.
He figured out teleportation, Sammy. He's Jack Bauer.
He's Jack Bauer. He do whatever he wants.
All right, we got our boy FedEx Trey saying who's the MVP this year. So it's interesting because after the Seahawks-Rams games, it flipped, and Matthew Stafford went from being kind of a clear-cut MVP to Drake May being the clear-cut MVP. Well, since this past week of games, it has flipped back. Now, it's no fault of Drake May's. They just ran the ball all over the place. There was no stop in the run game for New England this weekend. But Matthew Stafford had a nice game, and Matthew Stafford is now the MVP again, and it becomes largely a popularity contest at this point. My MVP of the season, if I'm being completely honest and transparent, is probably Drake May. I think it's been transformational what he's done to New England. He took a team that was dog crap and made them into a power this year. We'll see what happens in the postseason, but the good news is MVP is not a postseason award. Now, the argument against Drake May is that they didn't play enough people, and Matthew Stafford played in the hardest division in all of football, and he still got the Rams into this position.
Right.
But I do think Drake May, what he's done this year, completely shifting the narrative of an entire team that was left for dead after the Brady years. Drake May probably gets my vote if I had one. But I could understand either way. Drake May and Matthew Stafford, those are the right two choices.
Quickly before we're out, I just wouldn't have flipped Stafford because of one bad game against Atlanta on Monday Night Football. I think Stafford's peak this year was better than Drake May's peak, but I get it. New blood. It is amazing what Drake May's done for the franchise. People always kind of have a bias to vote younger.
Yeah. All right, that's it. We're done. John Schaefer's coming up next. Good first Monday of 2026, Sammy. High five.
Later, brother.
See y'all tomorrow. Everyone go to Valley View. Enjoy that place.
Hey, go to Valley View.
And tell them you listened to San Diego Sports 760. You listened to Ben Fletcher and Sammy Long, and you love Valley View as much as we do because we love it, man. We'll see y'all tomorrow.